It was tainted by a lot of negativity, mate. Honestly, I think anyone who is maybe in Europe, but specifically in England, we just found that everything had a negative tone to everything. We like to be around people who are ambitious, really strive to do something better. But what we found was, unfortunately, is a lot of people found solace in other people failing. Rather than building them up, they were happy someone didn't make it.
Yeah.
And it was very apparent. And it just wasn't for us. And
Well, hello and welcome to Phuket Insights. Today I'm joined by Joe Wood. Okay, so let's get into it. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and what it is you do?
cool. So myself, I am a digital nomad, an actual remote worker, and I have been for 10 years. So that's basically who I am in a nutshell. But before that, my last office job is I was a senior data analyst for the Singapore government and the Chinese military. So I had a lot of information that a lot of people weren't privy to, which is quite interesting. And that gave me a much better understanding of how the world works. And ultimately, I moved away from work because it just wasn't for me. The 9 to 5 was never 9 to 5. It was 8 till 7. And it just wasn't for me anymore. So I took what I knew. And then my wife and we then went online and never looked back. And we are absolutely blessed to have a 2.5-year-old son who was born here in Thailand. And we've just lived this life ever since. And we've been in Thailand for 6 years. We previously lived in Koh Samui, Bangkok, and Rayong. But we moved down to Phuket simply because the infrastructure for kids and for families is absolutely phenomenal. So that's why we moved here. So in a nutshell, that's who I am.
That's fantastic. Okay. So what was life before Phuket like?
It's a good question. It was tainted by a lot of negativity, mate. Honestly, I think anyone who is maybe in Europe, but specifically in England, we just found that everything had a negative tone to everything. We like to be around people who are ambitious, really strive to do something better. But what we found was, unfortunately, is a lot of people found solace in other people failing. Rather than building them up, they were happy someone didn't make it.
Yeah.
And it was very apparent. And it just wasn't for us. And everything about the life it felt it was becoming unsafe. It was becoming very, very difficult.
This is back in the UK.
It is, yeah. Back in the UK, it became very difficult to, I guess, defend it. That's what we found is.
I have to say I share that experience and feeling somewhat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that.
And that's the thing. And the thing was, it was a case of, we knew we had to make a decision. People shy away from that. We know we've left family behind, our best friends behind. We left that behind. But if you don't go and have a look, how do you know?
Yeah.
Right? And so a lot of people thought we made the wrong decision, yet here we are 6 years later, living a dream, having a great time every single day.
And so the trigger for you to change your lifestyle and move to Thailand, Phuket, was just generally the sort of negativity you found in the UK. Is that right?
Ultimately, yes. And we were we were trying to get pregnant for a while. It didn't quite work out. And but we knew that if we were ever going to make and be successful in that part of our life, England just wasn't. It wasn't the place for it. We knew that, and that's why we moved away. And then obviously when you come to Thailand, it's not a third world country. It's a beautiful country.
Yeah, okay. But you mentioned that you were in Singapore.
Yeah, I work for the Singaporean government, yes, in Canary Wharf.
So you left... Oh, actually, you worked for the Singapore government in the UK?
And then I worked briefly in Singapore for them as well, but it was based in Canary Wharf. That's where their main office was.
Okay. I was just trying to clarify whether you actually moved from the UK directly to Thailand, so like culture shock issues or whatever, or whether you'd actually already been exposed to Southeast Asia before you came here.
Yeah, well, we had. I mean, Singapore opened the door and the avenue to sort of search around. And before we moved here, my wife and I, we took 2 years out and we just travelled around Southeast Asia for as long as we could afford to, I guess. But we were still working at the time, but not as intensely.
Because that leads on to my next question, which is what surprised you most when you first got here? But it seems to me that any surprises would have come out when you were scoping out
100%.
rather than coming here and risking real culture shock.
I get, yeah, 100%. I think the biggest one for us was how polite everyone was. You know, I know British people, oh, they're very polite. Are we? I'm not so sure because I've come over here and I'm like, it's a completely different ball game over here. I think the biggest culture shock was everything was built on community. That was the biggest thing. It doesn't matter how much money you had. Success was completely measured in completely different parameters over here, and I prefer it. The success was, can you help somebody else? Can you go further and make that, you know, kind of like spread the wealth, but spread knowledge a lot better here, and you get a lot back in reciprocation, I guess. And that was the biggest culture shock. I wasn't expecting. I'd heard about it, but then when you speak to people about Thailand, all it is, it's the ladyboys, it's the drinking, but actually that is less than 5% of what you see here. And that's didn't interest me. But then when I came here and I saw the rural areas, the kids that play on the streets and go home when the lights come on, that's what I grew up on. And it's still here. It's still here. So it's almost a bit of a nostalgia aspect to it as well, which I didn't expect to see. And I just held on to it because that's what I was brought up on, you know.
So was there a moment when you realized life here was sort of very different to the UK?
I guess so. I think one of the main things is the cost of living was the main shock. I think over here in Thailand, you have the opportunity to live how you want. Whereas in England and the UK, you don't. You kind of, you're structured and you just pigeonholed into this is how it is, get on with it, good luck. Whereas here, you genuinely have a choice. You can live as cheap as you want. If you really want to, you can do that. But you can live lavishly. I mean, where we are now, you know, you look around, you've got yachts and you've got this and that. So the wealth is here, but you don't necessarily need to live like that. You can live a very humble life here, man. And that is the aspect that we absolutely clung on to, we can live how we want to, we can live humbly, we can structure our lives, we can budget properly, but we don't miss out on anything. And that is something that I don't think many people, particularly in Europe, can quite grasp, that's how it is here.
Well, you know, my perspective on this is, you know, a really good meal can cost 100 baht.
Yeah.
And the sunset at the West Coast beaches is free. And, you know, one of the most amazing shows you can see.
It's unbelievable. And sunrise on the east in Panwa is unbelievable too. So again, and it's free. That's the thing, it's free. It's those little things that I guess maybe you take for granted or you don't see often, but they make such a difference.
And what do you think people sort of misunderstand about living in Phuket?
I think in Phuket specifically, I would say is the healthcare here. A lot of people assume it's a garage in the back garden and that's it. It's not the hospital system here and the healthcare system for us, but also for kids is phenomenal. The dental, everything is absolutely phenomenal and it's so cheap. If you have good insurance, which doesn't cost you a lot, and you get it covered, you have a great experience. I only get nervous in two places, hospitals and airports. And both of them are absolutely amazing here. So it was really a nice, easy process when we go through the healthcare. You know,
I think that's an interesting point that the healthcare here is excellent. And even if you rock up and pay the bill yourself, it's not extortionate.
No.
But also from experience, when my wife slipped and fractured her elbow, the bill soon got up into the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of baht. And if you don't have insurance, then it can be very difficult. And also, how old are you?
I'm 37.
Right. Well, there you are. That's why your health insurance is not that
It's not as much. Yeah.
But I can tell you, going forward, it can become a bit of a problem. My personal problem is it gets. Once you get past 60, it gets seriously expensive.
Right, okay. Which makes sense, I guess. They've got to cover themselves as well, I guess. But it's a bit of a shame.
But it's not something you can skimp on.
Yeah.
And so it's something that it's different with other parts of the world. You know, they're used to paying for their healthcare or having their own policies. But if you're coming from somewhere like the UK, where you take it for granted, or you made this thing, oh, the policy that comes with my flight will cover me. No, you need to be very careful because it can get difficult.
It really can. And the one thing I will say, particularly for people coming out here, when you get insurance, it does not cover you at all for accidents on bikes. at all.
You're talking scooter, motorbikes.
Scooters, motorbikes, yeah. Like people assume, it's fine, and then they feel invincible, the shirt off, rolling around. No, it doesn't cover you at all. It really doesn't. So you need specific ones. If you are going to get a bike, it needs to be specific. But if you're sensible, you're going to be fine. But unfortunately, a lot of people aren't sensible.
Yeah, and even if you're legal with a proper driver's license, you'll find that the basic insurance cover that goes with most vehicles is only about 30,000 baht for the other party that you may have bumped into.
Exactly.
It will not cover your broken leg.
No, it won't. It won't, unfortunately. I mean, we have our own policy. We have our own bike. We bought our own bike as well. So our insurance does cover that. And it covers us for a family as well. So it is one of those things I would definitely say, don't skimp on it. Make sure that it is within your budget as well. Like, include it, okay? It's not just food and beer, right? It's insurance as well. So make sure you cover that.
So, in your experience, what sort of people adapt well to this lifestyle? In other words, who would fit in well with what you're doing, and who might struggle with your type of lifestyle?
I guess families would really benefit. I think particularly with younger children, maybe if you're under 10, I think you would benefit a lot from being here. Mainly because the school system's great and it's really cheap. My little boy goes to a Montessori school here, so he doesn't have a curriculum. He learns through experience. But watching him grow, he's so social, and I don't feel unsafe in running around and stuff. So that is something I would always recommend for families. Don't overlook that here. Ignore the noise that you see on the news and focus on the families. There's a humongous community here for families. It's unbelievable. So that, I would say, families would certainly fit in here. The people who I would say would struggle, and this is from my personal experience from my community that I have here, is people looking to make, be a digital nomad, but do it in yoga, do it in breathwork. It's an oversaturated market here. You will struggle to make money here. I know many people who are now approaching me because they now want online work because it didn't work out. So if you think you're going to come here, it's not a Bali. It's not one of those situations. If you come in here, you need a structured plan of how you're going to make money. Don't just turn up and assume you're going to make money, because you won't. Particularly in the breathwork yoga situation, it's oversaturated. Exactly. Monday through Sunday, I can find you 5 places every single day that you can go. So it's oversaturated. What I would say is, if you're going to do that, is stop doom scrolling and start micro learning. Learn a skill, come over here and add value. That is where you will fit in, particularly with my community, with remote work and digital yes mads. That's where you will fit in, and you will thrive, because there's a huge community here of skilled and very talented people.
So what have been the biggest challenges that you've had to face since for living or working here?
I guess the biggest challenge I found randomly was when we came here. What we didn't realize is that all the communities that we are now part of are all on WhatsApp. It's not Facebook. So for the first year, we were just like, where is everyone? Couldn't find anyone. We were going to co-working spaces and meeting a few people, but they were only here short term, and it was very difficult to implement ourselves in a community that we could rely on and actually build friendships and stuff like that. We found that really difficult. So what we found is we just randomly met the right person this one time, and now we're part of all the WhatsApp groups. So that was the hardest thing, is finding the people here, and finding a good place to live. Because we found everyone was like, you need to be in Patong, you need to be on the west of the island. False. The true nature of Phuket is you party in the west, you live in the east. So we live near Central, Vichit and Chalong. Beautiful area, completely overlooked, extremely underrated, but that's where you need to be. And had we known that first, it would have saved us maybe 18 months looking around trying to find stuff. So had we known that first, it would have saved a lot of resources, time and effort, to be quite honest. But now that is the biggest thing I can tell people, is to move to the east. If you're going to move here, live in the east. It's cheaper, it's a lot more calm, and to be fair, it's so easy to get around Phuket anyway. You're not going to miss out if you're not on the west.
No, I mean, the traffic though can be a problem. So making sure the resources you need regularly, like schools and that, are within an easy drive is important. But I hear
it's
you.
all around here. And the other tip I would actually give people, families, people living here or looking to move here, move in low season, because it's cheaper. Like the place that we live in now, in high season, it would have been 50% more expensive. But what you'll find is when everyone leaves, because it's the rainy season, which, to be fair, rainy season is one of my favourite places
Yes, I
here.
like it.
Yeah, it's so nice. And you still have sunny days. It rains a bit, so it's fine. It's lovely. But move in rainy season and low season between July and October. If you can move in there and you can do a year contract somewhere, you're going to save yourself 50% of what it would cost.
So on the other side of that, what generally feels better? What's not been frustrating or challenging? What's been easy?
I think, honestly, working here, because Thailand's internet speed is phenomenal. Like being able to work here, the amount of co-working spaces, cafes that you can just work from, that has been probably the easiest integration going. When we were in England and the UK, we found it really difficult to find places that we would stay for an hour because it was terrible coffee, which over here it's not. The coffee is phenomenal over here. Good food and a good atmosphere. We found it really difficult in the UK, but in here, off the top of my head, I could give you 12, 15 places within a mile of where I live that you can sit there all day and you can work and you can be productive. So again, if you're a remote worker like we are, coming over here, the transition was just amazing. It was seamless. And in actual fact, it made us realize just how wrong they got it in the UK. You know?
Well, I got fiber optic here in the studio, and 500 gigabits per second, whatever, and it's 8,000 baht a year. It's cheap.
It's ridiculously cheap. It's ridiculously cheap. Like even including the water. You know, there's no council tax. The water's minimal. The electricity is minimal. So all those things that we got used to paying went away. Like our water bill for a family, you know, it's like £7 a month, and our electricity is like £60 a month with aircon. It's just, and there's no council tax. There's none of that. So we found that the costs living here that you would be an overhead at home, it's like 20% of what we're used to paying. So we found that really good. And then again, because of that, it helps us mean that we can actually increase our insurance premiums because we're still better off and we now have better coverage. So as long as you understand that, you can make really good, better informed decisions, I would say, in terms of how you live your life here because of that. And one of us, for us, digital nomads, the working aspect here is phenomenal, and the amount of people doing the same thing is in the hundreds. That's what we found. There's so many people here doing the same thing, and we're having really good, productive conversations, and that's what we found.
And so you're doing true remote work, so visas and stuff is no problem. You don't fall foul of any work permit issues.
No, I mean because we're online, we have the DTV, which we are so glad that it came out, because it came to the point where we were on an education visa. We were learning Thai, like genuinely learning. We didn't want to be that foreigner that just shouts English louder and hoping that they understand, right? You know, we see that all the time. So we got to the point where it was coming to the end of our visa and we didn't know, how do we stay in Thailand? It's one of the most beautiful countries in the world, but it's so difficult to live here long term until they brought out the DTV. And that's just basically quashed any issues. It was £300 per person. Online, you do it through the Thai embassy website. It took us an hour to do it, and within 5 days it was approved. So it was very, very easy process to do. People just don't realize that it's there. So people still fall foul of it because they don't understand that there is a DTV there. And it's not just for remote workers, it's for Muay Thai, it's for cooking classes, it's for language courses. So it's an array of things. The only thing I would say, and I've only had this issue once, is you do have to leave the country every 6 months on the DTV. And there's two reasons why. One is that is part of the actual visa. But if you stay for 182 days or more, you are then susceptible to pay tax here in Thailand. So it always makes sense to leave every 6 months. You can do a day trip to Penang. We're going in July for a weekend in Penang. And the last time I came back, I did have an issue. They were asking me for exit flights. They wanted to know what was in my bank account again. All this information, even though I have already provided this, they still wanted it. So it was a bit of a nightmare coming back through Phuket because they single-handedly put me in a different place and I had to fill out all this information again. But then the next time, I'd just recently come back from Macau, I had all that information to hand. I knew exactly what they were going to ask. I had it all presentable. They didn't even look at it. They just let me straight through. So I guess it's not always the case, but just be prepared. Make sure that you've got your documents ready. They're not trying to pick on you. They just want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, which is understandable. I get that. It was my fault. I just wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, you know? They're wary of the few that make it difficult for everybody else, the overstayers. And
yeah, 100%. And I get that. That's how it should be. I'm not against that at all. That's exactly how it should be.
So has living in Phuket changed the way you look at life or, success or your priorities?
1000%. Being in the culture that I was, success is measured differently. And I tried to talk this to my German friend recently, and the only way that I could kind of put it into perspective is I was looking at this cafe and I said, how far is that cafe from us? And he was like, I don't know, like 50 meters. I was like, I would say 70 yards. We're both right, but we measured it differently. And if that cafe was success, my road to it was different. My outlook of how I would get there is different to how he would. So he would see it in meters, let's say that's successful financially, whereas the yards that I measured it in was actually family. I'm a very successful man because I have a beautiful wife. We've been together for 17 years and I've got a beautiful boy. And we are able to raise him how we want to raise him. He doesn't have that negative press. So my outlook living here has completely changed. I don't need excessive amounts of money to be happy. That's what I thought was the case, but in actual fact, it's completely wrong. Like living here and being in a community and being able to speak in Thai, having the decision and the actual opportunity to be able to decide what I do on a daily life is just that success. I'm a free man in my own opinion, and I get to spend it with my wife and my son, and we get to go around where we want and watch him grow in an atmosphere that we chose.
Okay.
And that's why.
Excellent. So what advice would you give somebody who's thinking about moving here?
First things first, move in low season. That's the biggest tip I can give anyone. Move in low season so you see Thailand at its worst, or what people will consider the worst. Okay, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and it's bloody hot. It's bloody hot in peak season, and people aren't going to be cut out for that. So be wary of that. Come over here with a plan, but always have room to wing it. Because over here, sometimes the best plan is no plan, particularly when you're traveling. I wouldn't just come here to live and that's it. Come here and explore the country. It's so easy to move around here. You've got the minibuses, you've got great transport, the railway links are amazing, the internal flights are cheap. Look, don't listen to the noise. Go and have a bloody look. Everyone doesn't do it. They come over here and then they go to Patong and think that's it. No, it's not. There are some absolutely phenomenal places here in Thailand that you must see. You don't necessarily need to move there, but go there for a month. Learn something. Learn how to live and be independent. Learn how to do that, because you need to be independent to be able to live here. You can't rely on anyone here. If you don't have family here and you don't have friends here, what are you going to do? Learn how to do that. Learn how to travel around. Learn the language. Integrate. For God's sake, integrate. Stop being that foreigner that doesn't do that and expects them to know what you want to do.
I think that's one of the biggest issues I currently have with Phuket is the lack of integration, where you get these big enclaves over, say, Laguna, which is just basically, it's not Thailand.
It's not Thailand.
It's a lot of foreigners living in a very wealthy area. And it's okay in one little area, you can hear, but I'm concerned that it looks like it's starting to spread. But I don't know what's going to happen. I can see there's lots of building development. Look like it's going on. If it stops there, it won't be too bad, because the island is so small that it can't keep, it's not going to turn into Singapore, at least I hope not. And even if it does, it will spoil what is the attraction of this place. But it is a concern of mine.
I agree. I think we were here 7 years ago, and the issue that I have with Phuket at the moment, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but the amount of specific foreigners that we have due to the war that was going on. Now, it's nothing against them. I would have the same issue if it was English, Spanish. It just takes away from the locality of Thailand. I fell in love with Thailand because of the locality of it, because of the people of here. And yet sometimes I feel like now I'm seeing less and less Thais. Everywhere I go, I just see less of them.
Certain parts of the island, that's definitely true.
100%.
And the language you hear is from
different countries, European, it is, and that's what I don't like, because I fell in love with Thailand. I lived in Rayong, where it's just locals, and that was
it's to do with the numbers. There are quite a few expats here, but in terms of the overall population, not a relatively small percentage, I would say, and they were kind of dispersed.
Yes.
English and French, Italian, Germans. You know,
Yeah.
you'd get a small clumping of Germans down in the south, but it's not so much that when you walk around, you feel like you're walking through Hamburg.
Agreed.
But certain areas of the island now certainly do sound, well, I might as well be blunt, it sounds like you're in the middle of Moscow.
Yeah, it does. It does. And the thing is, what I found with the Russians specifically, because I live with a lot of them, is they don't integrate well. But when you get to know them, they're actually really nice people, man. They're absolutely beautiful people. I don't understand why they're all 6'5". That I can't quite work out. They're all 6'5" and built like brick ends. I don't know what they eat.
I think it's perfectly understandable that the reasons for moving are varied. But if you're coming to another country, there's being around people that you know is obviously quite reassuring, and you feel safe, and you can understand why it's happening. But it's gotten to a point that it's gotten too much. If they were starting to spread out and break up, I would personally feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
And the reason I think it might be an issue, it's nothing to do with being like prissy about what I think the island should or shouldn't be. It's just that you don't want resentment from the locals.
That's it. And I know, I look Russian. The amount of times Russians, so I don't want the Thai to think I'm like that, you know. And that's my mentality, and that's a wrong mentality for me, because I don't think of that for anyone else. No, I think that they think that about me, but I don't want that either, you know. But then when you do break that barrier, that I actually do speak Thai and I can actually communicate with you, all barriers are gone. And it's just like, oh, thank God, it's not a typical foreigner. He actually does understand. And I have a little boy, so then it's like, oh my gosh, you got a little boy too. It's like, yeah, you know, like I'm not one of those guys. I've done absolutely everything legally. I am for the community. I pay my way here for you guys. I am all for you guys, okay? Like I would be anywhere, but again, a lot of people don't do that. And that's my advice to people is, for God's sake, integrate. Take your time out. If it's hard work, it's hard work. Do it. If you're just going to come here and just prance around, get on a motorbike, you're going to come off the motorbike, don't do that. Like, please just come over here. Respect the people. Respect the religion that is here as well. It is a Buddhist country, so they respect everybody equally, including the animals as well. Just go with the flow a bit. Go with the flow. Go to these local areas where it is supremely locals and learn something. And then when you come down here, you'll have a lot more respect for the locals, and maybe the reason why they don't have as much respect for you. But when you understand that, you can get by it, you know? That's what I would say.
Is there anything that you wish somebody had told you before you came here?
That's a good question, actually. I think the main thing I would say is just, it depends what you're coming here for. But just don't listen to the noise about the party areas and the ladyboys and stuff like that. It's not true. Are there ladyboys here? Yes. Do they party well? Yes. Are they amazing people? Yes, man. They are absolutely amazing. Like when me and my wife, before my son was born, we used to go out and we used to party with these so-called ladyboys. But they knew we were married, so the interaction I had with them was completely different. And they were absolutely amazing. So don't believe it. Just be very respectful to who they are and what they're doing. That is their life. Respect it and have fun with them. But don't think Thailand is just ladyboys, because it's not, man. It's really, really not. Like I said, that's less than 5% of the country, and there's so much more to see.
Is there anything else you think people should know? Is there a question I should have asked you?
Again, a great question. Two things. Number one, if you're going to be a digital nomad, and that is the way you're going to come here, get your shit together. Don't come here unprepared, okay? Because you will quickly fall foul of everything, and it'll taint your perception and maybe your experience here. So just come prepared. Even if it takes that extra 6 months, be prepared, okay? Just be prepared. Come out here and live it to the fullest. And number two, there's laundrettes everywhere, all right? Okay? The top loaders. So chances are it's probably not going to wash your clothes properly. And if you're not careful, you're going to shrink everything. All right? It happens to me. Even now, it still happens to me now. So just be wary of that. Okay? Just wash your clothes if you can by yourself. Okay? And you won't have some box shorts go missing. That happens to me all the time. But just be wary of that. They're all top loaders. So it's not like the UK where it's the other way. They're up there and they spin that way.
Interesting, because the
Right.
laundrettes we go to, there's front loaders.
They do have them. I luckily near me they have that as well. But when I was traveling, I struggled with it. They were all top loaders, so I was like, oh, and it just shrunk everything over
Obviously,
the
my
course
view
of
is
time.
kind of parochial within, a kilometre or two of this place. I mean, but in the rest of the island, your advice might well be
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah, it is. And just generally in Thailand, they're all top loaders. So I didn't think they washed my clothes properly. And then when I left it to them, they put it on a high dry, and everything shrunk. So I was wearing a crop top for 6 months in Thailand. So yeah, just be wary of that, But other than that, no. I would just say, just be prepared for Thailand. Make sure you learn a bit of the language. Just try and get by. They really, really appreciate it, man. They really appreciate it. Don't be too proud when you come in here. You know what I mean? If you've got to do things that you're not normally, just do it. It's fine. Just integrate as much as you can. Enjoy yourself here. Be respectful and enjoy yourself. And everyone will appreciate that, and they will certainly respect it too.
Yeah, it comes up in every interview, the word respect, and I think it's key. That's the key thing you can say to anybody is if you're respectful, life will go a lot smoother in every interaction.
Yeah.
Arrogance and bad attitude, not a good plan here.
It's not accepted here because they don't do that to you, so don't do it to them. Don't expect something. Just be appreciative of something if it's given. If they get an order wrong, for example, the chances are it's your fault. If you're ordering in English, it might be their fault. They are very smart people here. They learn languages. They play every single one of them play an instrument very well. They are extremely skilled and talented people here. Just appreciate it might not be what you expect, but they are extremely skilled, talented people. They are so respectful. Like you can get lost, and I have done. You can get lost in the middle of nowhere. Someone on a bike, well, you can flag them down and ask them. You can jump on the bike with them, and they'll take you somewhere. Even if you can't speak English, or they'll know what you're on about, and they'll help you. You can walk down a dark alley here. It's okay. You're not under any threat here. That's the biggest thing I would say. There is zero threat here, but don't be the threat. Okay? Respect it. Be polite and just smile, for God's sake. You've come all this way. You've probably flown halfway across the world. Be happy. You've made a good decision. It's just not as easy as everyone might say it is. Just integrate, put the hard yards in, and I guarantee you will go so far. And before you know it, you'll have a community around you that you can rely on. You'll have learnt loads. You'll be progressing in your life, things that you never thought you would do. And you'll learn things that you didn't. You'll have answers to questions you never even thought of asking. And that's the best thing about Thailand. And that's what I love about it.
Okay, great.
Awesome. But thanks for having me, man. This is great.
Well, thanks for coming in. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for watching Phuket Insights. If you enjoyed it, do like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow immensely.
Awesome. See you later. Peace.